The GITMO veto threat. President Obama promising to veto new legislation that would ban transferring any high-risk or medium-risk GITMO detainees. But his former spy chief says, go slow.
To be able to do tactical interrogation,
I got all
professionally,
that. But
you can't, if we bring them into the United States and they get read their habeas corpus rights, that stops the process of being able to get the kind of information that you can get through very professionally done interrogations. I'm telling you, I've seen it.
I got to tell you, I've heard that argument 1,000 times.
Okay, I have been involved in thousands of interrogation operations to be able to get to that point.
So with terror fears on the rise, would this GITMO veto put our safety and economy at risk? Hi, everyone. I'm Brenda Butner. This is Bulls and Bears. And here they are, the Bulls and Bears this week. Gary B. Smith, Tracy Burns, Jonas Max Ferris, John Layfield, along with Nomi Konst. Welcome to everybody. Okay, John, you say keep them locked up for the sake of our safety and our economy. Why?
Yes, because you look at the cost of what happens if these guys go back to the battlefield. Look, we had Camp Bucca prison. It was in southern Iraq. Once that was closed and those guys were released, that is what created the leadership of ISIS. We have about 122 guys right now in Guantanamo Bay. About 54 of those are considered low risk. So you say there's only 68. What can 68 do? What did those prisoners do that left Camp Bucca in southern Iraq? They were the leadership right now of ISIS, which is costing economies around the world a lot of money. And don't tell me this argument that, hey, they've been down there, they're out of touch. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years, and for the good of the world, made an incredible impact once he got out. These guys that have been in prison like this, they can go right back into leadership roles. We've seen it before. I don't know why the president wants so badly to shut Guantanamo Bay so bad that he's willing to release these guys to go back to the battlefield.
Well, it was one of his very first campaign promises. Jonas, there is an argument that there is some benefit to release them and then track them and be able to get some information that way.
Yeah, I can't imagine today when I can track everything from my phone that we can't track these people if they're released. And, you know, besides that, it's a higher tech solution. It's very un-American to put someone in prison forever. You know, if there's such a danger, if we have to host them indefinitely for $2.7 million per person to taxpayers, then they should be killed. If they're that much of a threat, why are they even alive this far into this? They either should be executed as prisoners of whatever, of the war, or let go. This whole indefinite prison for life is the most un-American of all the scenarios.
Un-American? Would you let Charles Manson out of prison?
Forget un-American. They're terrorists. Senator Tom Cotton said it best. If they can't rot in hell, let them rot in GITMO. And look, we need to interrogate these people, and that's the only place you could do it properly. The second they're let go, we don't have a shot at doing this.
Tracy. We know this.
Hold on, un-American. There is nothing un-American about housing.
What's un-American? What's more un-American?
They're evil. They're evil. Let them rot there.
But we're violating human rights, regardless if they're terrorists or not. Who cares? Well, that is what we stand for as a country. We are not Jordan. We are not Saudi Arabia. We don't just execute people at will.
We don't allow these people in our country. What is with the philanthropic nonsense?
But
we're going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
It's not philanthropic.
That's crazy.
We have a court of law. We have standards that we live by. We have laws and procedures. And does that mean we release them out into the world and let them go back to countries and organize on their own? No, it doesn't. But it does mean that we find a place. We find an ally who can house them, who can...
Who wants them?
Well, there are plenty of allies.
Nobody wants them.
Okay.
Jordan's been doing it. Saudi Arabia's been doing it. I'm not saying that there are, #1 choices, but there are places that we can go. There are partners that who can be intermediaries while we integrate them back into the world, or maybe we don't. But the problem is we have human rights in our country, and we're not going to suspend the things that we live by.
I'm sorry, Nomi. I gotta move on. I gotta get to Gary B. The president says this is going to save money.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to end up costing us money. Look, I go back to the great Ronald Reagan, and although he did not come up with the saying, I mean, it handed down probably since the Roman Empire, it still sticks in my mind, and that's peace through strength. Look, I'm not enamored with GITMO, the location, because it is expensive, but I am enamored with GITMO, the philosophy, if you will. You know, Obama doesn't like GITMO basically because he said It emboldens our enemies. He thinks we have more to fear from having it. I think that's just total BS. I think prisoners fear Gitmo, as they well should. I think keeping them there, even if locking them away at Gitmo or any other place for an eternity, is the right thing to do. I think it shows that we will not tolerate our enemy combatants, whether they come from here or overseas or wherever. I think John's right. We need to take a firm stand. How does that help the economy? Because a peaceful economy where we're not threatened with terrorists, that we're willing to show an iron fist, makes for a safe economy, and that helps us. Not the piddling, millions of dollars that we spend on Gitmo. That's just pocket change.
Right. John, about a third of the detainees are now approved for transfer, and almost all of them are Yemenis.
Yeah, and that is where you have a lot of the people that are creating a lot of terror that's going on in the Middle East right now. Look, the fact that we are emboldening them, like Gary B is talking about, and saying that it's wrong, which I agree with Gary B, is beyond stupid. Guantanamo Bay was not there before 9/11. It was not a factor before 9/11. And if you were to talk about human rights violations, come on, this liberal garbage blows me away. It's hypocrisy. You have a drone policy right now that you can kill somebody without a trial, without due process.
Exactly.
That is a war crime. That is a war crime. But I don't hear liberals rapping about that because they're focusing on Guantanamo Bay.
By the way, Times every day does a story on drones.
Okay.
Naomi, it helps if you yell over me just for time, but it doesn't get any points across. I have no problem with killing terrorists. I have no problem with the drone policy, but I also have no problem with housing terrorists until they die. I don't want to let Charles Manson out of prison either. That's not un-American.
Okay, Naomi?
Listen, we have laws that we stand for in our country, and human rights is a big part of our country's values. So you can't transfer these laws, change these laws every single time you have a terrorist situation.
They're not citizens of the United States of America. They don't abide by our rules.
Let me finish.
Clearly.
Tracy.
But it makes no sense.
Remember, right after 9/11, we are pulling Arabs off the street, Arab Americans off the street, who had the same names as terrorist suspects.
That has nothing to do with
suspects.
Hold on,
and then they were tortured.
Oh my God, that has nothing to do with this, Naomi. Come on now.
But they were talking about Gitmo. They were in Gitmo.
That want to kill us, and what this is going to do to our economy if you let them out.
So what do you want to do with them? What do you want to do with them?
Let them rot.
Naomi's half right. They're either that, again, they're either dangerous enough to kill because we've already squeezed the information lemon out of them after the last 10 years, or they need to be released. Right. $2.7 million a year. I thought the CIA could brainwash people into loving American for $2.7 million a year. Isn't that what they were brainwashed by the jihadists on less than that? We can't have converted them into American-loving people for 10 years with that kind of a budget. I think this is just an epic, ongoing, perpetual waste with no end in sight that doesn't solve any problem. It doesn't kill them. It doesn't turn them around. It doesn't release them. It's nothing. It's like a gray zone.
Okay, I got to give one last word to John, quickly.
I think we can pick and choose. Look, it is not un-American to leave these guys off the battlefield. These guys can go back and create leaderships, as we've already seen with prisons that have been shut down in the Middle East. They go straight back in the battlefild, and they create economic havoc. They also create terror. These guys that are being burned alive are being done and led by guys who were once being held by our government.
Okay, all right, last word. Thanks, guys. And Cavuto on business in about 20 minutes from now. Hey, Neil, what do you got?
Hey, Brenda, turning to a bad guy to help cut off funding for ISIS bad guys. The new UN plan that some here say is a very bad idea. And look out for the drones. What just happened at 4,000 feet? That could have flyers jumping right out of their seats. We'll see you at the bottom of the hour.
You sure will. Thanks, Neil. We'll certainly be watching. But up here first, just in time for another winter blast, the green crowd blaming global warming. Oh, wait. I mean climate change on the extreme weather. But did we just find out their science is based on bogus numbers?